The housing market has sort of been all over the place the last couple of years. So here at 4, we've been trying to keep an eye on it. This afternoon, Eddie Campos from RE/MAX Preferred Associates joins us with an update. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know, I think this is the time of the year. I noticed on my street, a couple houses went up just in the last couple of weeks. School is winding down. People are thinking housing market.
Yeah, the tulips are coming up, or so on the real estate sign.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah, so springtime has traditionally been a strong time for people to be able to put their houses on the market. And it's the time when you probably have your biggest pool of buyers available. So for sellers, if they're thinking that they're going to sell, this is an optimum time where they have the biggest audience to pull from.
Okay, so we've obviously been talking about interest rates.
Yeah.
So that's been tough. People trying to get that mortgage.
Right.
Interest rates are still really high, and home prices are high too. So
Yep.
how are we comparing here in Northwest Ohio to maybe the rest of the state or the rest of the country?
So in Northwest Ohio, values have increased roughly 40% since pre-COVID.
Wow.
In the state of Ohio, 46%, and nationwide, that's in some places it's 60%.
Wow.
Yes, interest rates have gone up, but it's always a good time to buy. When you consider what are your option is to rent. The Federal Reserve did a study recently where the average renter, their net worth was about $10,000. The average homeowner was almost $400,000. So when you're buying a home, you're gaining equity over those years and years that you're making your house payments, and hopefully values are continually going up.
And with those interest rates, the Fed hasn't really said just yet when they're going to start bringing them down again. So how do people who want to buy a home, how do they do that? How do they make that more affordable for them?
Well, there's several ways. First, you're going to want to try to save for a down payment, right? And there are down payments as low as 3.5% available for people.
Okay.
Traditionally, people have always thought that they would need to have a 20% down payment. Today, the average is only 10%.
Okay.
So depending on the home value that you want to go into, depending on what you can afford to purchase, that afford to purchase is a complicated puzzle to put together. So you want to get it together with a professional mortgage lender to help you figure that out, because it's, your debt ratio, your income, your reserves, there's lots of variables. So they'll help you figure that out and give you the answer what you can afford and how much down payment are you going to need to be able to get that payment into the budget you really want.
When you factor in insurance and all of those
Exactly.
things, suddenly you're looking at that monthly payment going, oh,
Yeah,
it's not exactly
exactly
what I thought it was.
Yeah, when you have 3% interest rates versus 7%, which I got quoted today from Tony Brancato at Ruoff Mortgage, your payment is going to go up 40%. So you got to find ways to be able to try to save some money. So the other thing that the Ohio Realtors have done is in the past 2 years, they created the Ohio Savings Account for home buyers. So you get an enhanced interest rate. You can have it for up to 5 years, I believe. Locally, there's one lender that's using that program. And it helps people save money, get a little bit more interest rate, so that way when they're ready to buy, they're going to have a little bit bigger down payment.
Okay, so that's one route.
Yes.
What about? Is there just any help out there for people who just need a?
Yeah, so the city of Toledo offers grants for people that are in the service industry, such as nurses, teachers, police officers, firefighters, and there's always grants that become available through various lenders throughout the state. So most recently, we just had a grant program that I think just expired. It typically happens every spring. Those kinds of things are almost always available, just depends on the lender.
Yeah, reach out and look for that.
Absolutely.
That help. Also, I think with home values, as we've seen them go up,
Yeah.
When people maybe want to put their house then on the market, then
Right.
they're dealing with this capital gains
Right.
taxes.
Yeah.
Is there something out there to help people out with that?
Well, not yet, but we're working on it. So Ohio Realtors has been working through the Ohio House, and through the House and Senate to be able to try to make that capital gains a little bit easier on people. So currently it's $250,000 and $500,000 for a couple. They want to increase that so that it's $500,000 for an individual and $1 million for a couple. That number hasn't risen in, I think, 26 years. So that definitely needs to have some changes to be able to go along with what's happened with inflation and the price of homes. So if you bought a home 30, 40 years ago, you very well could be in a situation where you've increased value over $300,000. And now you're going to have this huge tax bill coming at you.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense for people to be able to get some relief from that end.
Well, we'll pay attention to that then,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Keeping an eye on that, especially as people are like, well, I might want to sell, but people are interested. They're like, you know what, now's the time. I'm ready to put something on the market, or
Yeah.
vice versa. Somebody says,
Yeah.
is the time I need to get into a new house. Now's the time to just reach out to a realtor, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. You reach out to a professional service provider when it comes to your real estate needs. Real estate is very complicated today compared to just when I got into the business in 2005 and compared to, some agents that I know that got into the business in the 1980s. The purchase agreement when I started was 2 pages, it's now 7. There's probably 16 different addendums that could be in place. And all of those things were created to be able to help protect the consumers when they're having a transaction.
So you all are there to help everybody navigate
Absolutely.
through all that. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Yep. John